Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. There's going to be a very strong, easily distinguishable, very obvious shift that's about to happen in the polls, friends. Of course, in response to Joe Biden's despicable presidential address the other night, with the blood-red backdrop and 2 Marines at his shoulders. And like I've been saying here for a couple days, the Democrats are taking a serious political risk here. It is a very risky gamble. There's 2 options when you do something as extreme as what Joe Biden and the Democrats are doing. Either it's going to work as a motivating factor, it's going to rally the troops, so to speak. It's going to motivate Democrats more than ever to show up to the polls and to express their anger against Republicans at the polls. Either he's going to tap into Trump derangement syndrome and all of the Democrat MSNBC craziness, and it's going to lead to a massive surge for the Democrats, which is, of course, what I think they're hoping for. Or it's going to have the exact opposite effect. Joe Biden looks like a tyrant. Joe Biden, again, looks like a liar because he's backing out on one of his most important and key political promises, or campaign promises, to unite the country. And the most important voter bloc, moderates, independents, apolitical people, and just regular suburban Americans, are going to start dropping off like we have never seen as the Democrat Party makes a clear decision to embrace extremism and hyper-divisive, hyper-partisan talking points. Well, I for one believe in the virtue of everyday average Americans. I think they're looking at this most recent Democrat political messaging shift with complete disgust and contempt, and the new Democrat strategy is about to backfire, and backfire spectacularly. This is, of course, the topic that I want to cover for this video. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so one thing that I'm noticing here is that moderate left-wing pundits are clearly watching the exact same movie that we are. It seems as though the only people who aren't watching the same movie are the crazed lunatic leftists, and the interesting thing that's happening here is that this most recent event is exposing exactly that. The craziness, the hyperpartisanship, the hateful nature of the radical left mob. This story perfectly exemplifies it. CNN host and reporter call out Biden for militaristic backdrop to his speech, and liberals are furious with them. CNN anchor Breonna Taylor and national affairs correspondent Jeff Zeleny criticized President Joe Biden for the militaristic backdrop for his anti-Republican speech, and many on the left wing were furious with them. Jeff Zeleny wrote, "There's nothing unusual or wrong with a president delivering a political speech. It's inherent in the job description, but doing it against a backdrop of 2 Marines standing at attention and the Marine band is a break with White House traditions." Breonna Taylor writes, "Whatever you think of this speech, the military is supposed to be apolitical. Positioning Marines in uniform behind President Biden for a political speech flies in the face of that. It's wrong when Democrats do it, and it's wrong when Republicans do it." And honestly, that right there is, I think, what most people are thinking. You know, the actual stuff that Joe Biden was saying wasn't exactly surprising. People were making Joe Biden's speech bingo cards, already predicting most of his talking points. It's what he's been saying for the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. What was shocking to people was the blood-red backdrop and the military standing at attention behind him, giving that ominous, authoritarian vibe and feel to the entire event. I think what most people are expecting when Joe Biden is giving an address to the nation and when he has the military standing behind him is an inspiring presidential speech, something that brings the nation together, something that makes people feel good about the future of America. But instead, he chose to create this very negative ambiance with a military backdrop behind him and went on to demonize half of the nation. I think most people are looking at that thinking, this man is a nutcase. He's completely lost his mind. I can't support this because most people have neighbors with different political viewpoints. Most people have family members with different political viewpoints. And then you turn on the TV and you see the President of the United States with Marines standing behind him, demonizing and attacking your family members and your neighbors and regular Americans. And there's just no way that jives, to the extent that even left-wing reporters are calling out the obvious. The only people who can't see this as a bad thing are crazed lunatic leftists. Here's a couple examples from Twitter. This dummy Breonna Taylor, they watched as their daddy Trump did every illegal tactic while in White House, but now these bag of clipped toenails have issue with decorum and history. F CNN and their MAGA CEO. CNN's pundits have literally been posting the exact same S tonight. Breonna Taylor and Jeff Zeleny are effing pathetic. They want you to believe that a president shouldn't call out fascism. Well, those two push it, lol. Completely moronic. Here's another user. I'm just going to unfollow you. I'm going to block you and the rest of CNN since it has been taken over by fascists. Plain and simple, folks, these people are nuts. They've lost the plot. And regular left-wing blue checkmark journalists are trying to warn them. Here's another example. Like or loathe what he said tonight, it should be noted the president spoke tonight on the grounds of a national park, flanked by US Marines, and took direct, specific aim at his predecessor and members of the Republican Party. Another thing that we don't see every day. Left-wing journalists are essentially saying that this is bizarre, unusual, and extreme, and the crazy MSNBC psychos are not only cheering it on, but they're claiming that it didn't go far enough. Take a look at Mr. Eli or Elie Mystal, Joy Reid's favorite MSNBC comrade. Take a look at what he had to say.
Yeah, I don't know who it's not all Republicans, just MAGA Republicans are for. Like, I'm sure that there are some white supremacists who will vote with white supremacists who don't think they're white supremacists. We're happy that Biden didn't call them a white supremacist, but like, it's not for me. What was for me, and you mentioned this already, but this is, I think, a really great bit, where he says to the heckler, that dude, that man, that person from the other side is entitled to be outrageous.
Totally.
And that, to me, that is the difference between Biden and Trump.
Totally.
That is the difference between me and Jenny Thomas.
Right.
That is the difference between Democrats and Republicans, because Republicans right now would have that heckler be beaten.
Right.
They would say that heckler.
I don't know all Republicans, but Donald Trump
would certainly say that,
has a record for saying
right. And Lindsey Graham would be like, okay, boss. Like, that's how they are at this point, right? And so when Biden says that heckler is entitled to be outrageous, how can you hear that, understand what he meant? You heard the whole time that guy was yelling into the microphone. How can you hear Biden say that and not understand about the critical difference between both parties at this point?
I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying MSNBC crazies. I mean, true nutcases. Take a look at Jennifer Rubin, probably the worst case of Trump derangement syndrome on the planet. Biden's Philadelphia speech met the moment. Mass arrests should come next. These people are fascists. They're angry. They're vicious. And they are motivated by one goal and one goal alone, and that is to destroy you. And that is not an exaggeration. That is what these people want. They don't want unity. They want war. I truly believe that. And it's high time that regular people start to realize it. It's high time that regular people start to wake up and smell the coffee that you have been conned, and the extremist threat has never been on the right-wing side. The opposite has been true. I really think this is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's going to have severe negative repercussions for the Democrats. Their craziness is on full display. They're right now on Twitter pushing a hashtag boycott CNN trend on Twitter with over 33,000 tweets because they're angry that CNN criticized their supreme leader Joe Biden and his ridiculous, bigoted, militaristic speech. And I think the overall sentiment, the overall response to the optics in the current situation can actually be exemplified by something that happened during the night itself.
Habits of the heart in our character, optimism that is tested yet endures, courage that digs deep when we need it, empathy that fuels democracy after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time.
The optics are clearly very bad for the Democrats here. I don't think it's going to end well for them. It'd be one thing if Joe Biden had a stellar track record and a cult of personality, then he might have a path towards being an autocratic, charismatic, authoritarian leader. But considering the fact that he's still a geriatric, incompetent fool, adding tyrant to his resume doesn't exactly seem like a great idea to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's just my opinion on the matter. And I think a lot of people are feeling the exact same way. You know what people wanted during that speech? They wanted to feel inspired, but instead he pushed divisiveness and hateful rhetoric, and regular American people are a whole lot better than that. That's what I got for you guys though. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you feel like joining this community. I'm gonna get back to work though. Thanks for watching, friends, and I will see you on the next one. Oh, and of course, don't forget, let's go Brandon, now more than ever.